In the last two videos, we delved deep into the esoteric definition of what makes a sport and how that same criteria defines an esport. Esotericism is all well and good, but we also introduced two other misperceptions on what esports is, and I'm going to explore the second one. Esports is competitive video gaming. What separates regular sports from commercial sports, and is a defining feature for commercial esports? Entertainment. But we find entertainment is not just in the sport, but rather in the competition.
Let's pretend we score the goal!
Yes, we have big-name sports like football, rugby, basketball that pull in lots of viewers. But what about netball, field hockey, swimming? They get little to no airtime on TV stations, and they're considered sports by the traditional terms. So why aren't they as popular?
If I look at my ratings every day, the better the story, the better the rating.
You know what else pulls in lots of viewers? Baking competitions, fishing competitions, singing contests, all based on emotion and judgment. Then there are activities like boxing, gymnastics, MMA, athletic competitions. What's the difference between a sport and a competition? A singing contest could meet the Sports Accord definition of a sport, so why do we automatically think it's something different? The answer lies in the win condition. The win condition for physical contests rely on human judgment. This qualitative factor is a variable that cannot be completely controlled. A judge may have slightly different decision-making parameters, or can be swayed by emotive circumstances. Essentially, a bias has been introduced. You can often hear how contestants will speak about how luck was on their side, that a particular judge wasn't in a bad mood. Bias is a significant uncontrollable variable. Okay, so what has this got to do with esports? Well, we have the same distinction between esports and competition. What this means, the category esports does not include just any competitive video game. This is extremely important to understand. Having competition doesn't necessarily mean it is a true esport by the definition of the term, because most games include uncontrollable variables. Much like judge bias, randomness in games will affect the win condition outside of the player's control. There are virtual competitive activities, such as deck-building card games like Hearthstone, that would be considered a competition rather than an esport due to the random element inherent in the game system. There is variability that cannot be controlled. In Hearthstone, you create a deck within a set of parameters, much like gymnastics competitions have required movesets that participants must perform. But execution of the deck is reliant on luck, as execution of a particular gymnastics set is reliant upon the judge's assessment on execution and artistry. Fortnite, arguably the most popular competition, relies a lot on luck in finding equipment scattered around the map and supply drops. Even the safe zone is randomly generated.
I know, like, this zone is rigged. Epic Games is going to make it pull all the way over the mountain.
If everyone is of roughly equal skill, an unlucky drop could cause a loss. So ultimately, we go back to this idea of rules and fairness. If there is an activity where there are very clear rules on how to win that are applied to everyone so that skill is the only deciding factor, esport. If the activity has ambiguous rules that require judgment, where luck is a deciding factor in overcoming randomness, competition. The term esports tends to group both sports classification games and competition classification games together, but much like how we distinguish between sport and competition in the physical world, we need to distinguish the two in the virtual world. So no, that auto battler tournament you had in mind, that's not a true esport. Having spectators influence the outcome of a match, not an esport. If you want to be the fastest to stack hay bales, congratulations, you've got an esport.